This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Probably the worst pizza I've had in my life. The crust was bready and flat, the cheese was dense and bland, and the pizza sauce was avocado based, which gave everything a sour, medicinal aftertaste. I got food poisoning from the undercooked pizza here. The company owner is being butthurt and reporting all the bad reviews, so I'm leaving this here. I'm glad you guys closed down. The sauce is a horrifying baby food orange and tastes nothing of tomatoes and possibly smells worse than anything else. Our entire D&D group felt horrible afterwards, so our DM ordered us real pizza and we popped Tums like candy. My first bite was kind of like, what the hell is that taste? It's the pizza sauce. It's absolute fucking garbage. The cheese is another story of its own. On Christmas Eve of 2021, it was announced that the first and only officially licensed Garfield-themed restaurant, GarfieldEATS, would be closing its doors permanently. Ever since it had opened its doors 2.5 years earlier, the restaurant had been plagued by controversy. Bright orange carnivore pizzas and garfuccinos that turned customers' stomachs, an unusable app which loudly played Garfield music and featured games and animated episodes locked behind paywalls, repeated attempts to turn the restaurant into a tech business incorporating AR and drones, and most notably a very eccentric owner. Since we last covered GarfieldEATS on this channel over 2 years ago, the story has only spiraled even further into chaos, with former owner and self-proclaimed entrepreneur Nathan Masry turning against Nickelodeon in the wake of them shutting down his restaurant, as well as using the official GarfieldEATS Twitter account to hate post about JoJo Siwa, claim that Garfield is a role model for celibacy, and even spout anti-vax sentiments. This is an insane rabbit hole that only gets deeper the more you go down it, so today let's revisit the GarfieldEATS saga and take a look at the bizarre GarfieldEATS Twitter account. If you have a Garfield-themed restaurant business and need a website, I have the perfect solution for you: Squarespace. Squarespace has thousands of unique and stunning website templates which you can then use to customize, update content, and add features to fit your needs. You can make any Squarespace template do whatever you want so your amazing and epic idea, brand, product, site, or project stands out online on every device. Squarespace is an amazing solution for merch, whether you're a small business, a creator, or someone who just wants to sell silly mugs and shirts and pins to your friends. Design your products and production, inventory and shipping are handled for you, saving you time and money. There are tons of incredible features for small businesses too. Whether you sell physical or digital products, Squarespace has all the tools that you need to start selling online while looking sleek and professional. You can easily sell custom merch and create a passive income stream that engages your audience and scales your brand. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all of the amazing things that Squarespace can do. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/izzies to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. A huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and now let's dive back into the world of GarfieldEATS.
Cats are not the only ones with 9 lives. Nathan Masry has 9 lives too, and I'm not going to quit.
So to give you a brief rundown on the first part of the GarfieldEATS debacle, it launched as a food delivery service in 2018 exclusively in Dubai. Either the app did really well or its founder was just obscenely rich, because GarfieldEATS then went on to open a physical storefront in June of 2019 located in Ontario, Canada. The founder of GarfieldEATS was one Nathan Masry, a self-described entrepreneur who unsurprisingly had an extremely rich and successful investment banker dad that helped fund his projects. Nathan Masry is a character to say the least, and we'll be learning all about him throughout this video.
I'm coming.
His ill-advised business decisions are too numerous to list here, but some of the standout moments include creating a bizarre quote-unquote Quibi-inspired documentary about GarfieldEATS, where he plays this weird The Office type parody of himself and films himself going into the restaurant to berate the employees and complain about having to pay them minimum wage, making an announcement that there would be 200 GarfieldEATS locations by 2025, and then making a desperate press release asking failing businesses to flip their kitchens into GarfieldEATS. And yes, this was shortly before the entire franchise shut down, the storefront being completely devoid of chairs and tables, with customers instead having to take their food home or eat it in the car. The general consensus was that the physical location served only as a place for Disney to dump all of their old unprofitable Garfield merch, which was of course listed for sale on the GarfieldEATS app alongside pizzas and fries. The restaurant's pizza boxes being advertised as eco-friendly and able to be repurposed into tissue boxes. You know, nothing nothing like grabbing a sweaty, cheesy tissue out of my oily old Garfield pizza box. When the company promised YouTuber Quentin Reviews a giant promotional Garfield plush from their store and mailed him a bag of sand instead, the restaurant gained a reputation online for its hilarious, bizarre marketing materials which proclaimed love and adoration for Garfield and were often filled with spelling errors, as well as its terrible food and just the general concept of a Garfield restaurant. I mean, come on, you open a Garfield themed pizza restaurant and the internet is gonna have a ball. However, the fun wouldn't last long, as Nathan Masry would post a video to YouTube announcing the closure of GarfieldEATS.
I was all alone, out in the cold, after they changed their decision from offering me a GarfieldEATS retail, as you saw previously in my Zoom call with you guys. To see it all go away in one day, it's tough, but you gotta keep going.
The general gist here is that he was supposedly promised a Garfield retail deal, whatever that means, before suddenly being terminated and having his license agreement revoked on Christmas Eve. In the video, he swings wildly from extreme to extreme. He claims that Nickelodeon and Viacom CBS blessed him with the best Christmas gift he could have gotten, the burden of GarfieldEATS taken off his shoulders, bringing him happiness and relief. He then claims that the companies left him out in the cold and goes on a tirade about how people can take anything from you, including your licensing agreement, but they can't take away your work. The Twitter bio of the official GarfieldEATS account was changed to the first ever official Garfield themed restaurant in the world, founded by @Nathan Masry, was terminated suddenly by Paramount/Nickelodeon in 2020. After the closure of his restaurant, Nathan took a break from the internet, a surprising move for a man that seemed to post his every move and thought online. In an interview with Honey Soit, he explained his grief during this time, quote, "You carry this idea of Garfield within you. Would you say there's a sense of loss?" "I did. I went on a hiatus," he said. "I left Instagram for about 6 months and I had to grieve. I mean, I wore him for a while. That's what they taught me in branding and marketing courses. Live the brand, feel the brand, be the brand. And what I did is I took it too far and lost myself. I forgot who Nathan Masry was. The cat will never leave me." Masry eventually returned to the internet and even launched a second online food service based on a cartoon character, Scooby-Doo Eats, but it never got popular enough for a physical location. It was just as wacky as GarfieldEATS. For example, a quote from the site reads, "Meat never dies. After all, it is Scooby-Doo's favorite." And another claimed that the company didn't want to merely stick a cartoon character on a box, despite the fact that their main frozen cuisine of choice was lasagna, likely the exact same generic lasagna that GarfieldEATS sold. It didn't get the same traction as the more infamous GarfieldEATS, and the project fizzled out when, once again, his licensing agreement wasn't renewed by Warner Brothers. In a bizarre post on the official Scooby-Doo Eats Instagram page, Nathan seemed to once again turn on a company that ousted him, this time Warner Brothers. Quote, "After 1.5 years, the Ministry of Finance called me to inform me of the good news since my legal case was escalated to their department. Never fight with a man of good intentions, especially when my alliance is with mighty God, not some human. You will fail. However, all my Scooby Burgers and hot dogs products were also never returned to Entergage Inc., and they destroyed my relationship with Warner Bros. That brought about the licensing termination for @ScoobyEats, which I've put my heart and soul in and my horticulture brown suit out. I loved and trusted them, but these people had no vision for Scooby-Doo, a pop icon. Much more to this yummy grilling story." Despite Nathan's pivot to Scooby-Doo content, Garfield would always remain close to his heart. And in the following years, his bizarre behavior on social media would hint towards a simmering resentment over what happened to GarfieldEATS. The GarfieldEATS rabbit hole only gets deeper and more bizarre from here, because we're about to take a look at the official Twitter account and Nathan Masry's other online social media presences, and boy does it get weird. So the official GarfieldEATS Twitter account, which once posted pizza advertisements and photo shoots with adoring fans showing up to the restaurant, now posts a bizarre mix of Garfield content, often sexual in nature, seething hatred for the new Garfield movie, right-wing conspiracies, and expletive-filled rants directed at Nickelodeon and Viacom. Far from its roots as a verified business account, it now serves as a dumping ground for all of Nathan Masry's anger and frustration, his strange, aimless trails of thought, and his tirades against the new Garfield movie, referring to Chris Pratt as Chris Fart. One of the more bizarre recurring themes of the account is Nathan Masry's strong belief that Garfield is celibate and his campaign against NSFW art of the cat. In an interview with Honey Soit, he elaborated on this belief, quote, "Garfield is almost 43 years old, I think, and yeah, obviously, you know, he might have some crushes here and there, but he's a selfish person who loves himself, and yes, he's celibate, and so am I." He made a tweet about wanting a ban on Garfield porn, and another about how Twitter allowing NSFW content on their platform will make Garfield porn widely available. He condemned a photo of a Garfield poster hanging in a library, writing, "There you go, Garfield sexualized again. That's the only cartoon gone satire and kinky," as per Jim Davis telling Nathan Masry in 2017 over Christmas dinner. He knew. There is nothing he can do. Fine, just keep the kids out of it, everyone. Classic Christmas dinner chats. He posts content that condemns and also simultaneously bizarrely encourages the sexualization of Garfield and the GarfieldEATS brand. He posted this photo with the caption, "What's really in the box, Nathan? Is it that big?" with an eggplant emoji added. Another tweet seems to encourage people to make NSFW art of the cat on Twitter, and in a thread he himself collated a bunch of suggestive and NSFW fan art. This focus on NSFW content lines up with his belief in clean viewing. His Instagram states, "Supporting studios linked to harmful actions like genocide contradicts clean watching. Choose entertainment that upholds ethical standards and promotes positive values," which is a sentiment that I totally agree with. It's important to look into the companies you're supporting and if they're linked to any harmful actions or groups or indeed genocide. 100% great point. But the whole clean watching thing gets a little bit weirder the more that you dig into it. Unfortunately, it seems like the post has been deleted since I can't find it on his page or on the Wayback Machine, but my wonderful and epic and amazing researcher Hannah copied a caption from the post that he made on Instagram which reads, quote, "Clean watching also means avoiding films with negative spiritual energies such as those associated with black magic conducted upon producing the movies prior to release as part of a satanic cult. Hashtag clean watching. This includes hashtag porn, which often promotes promiscuity and low self-worth. Choose hashtag entertainment that upholds ethical standards and promotes positive values." Aside from Masry's campaign against sexy Garfield art, there are a bunch of other just really weird and off-color tweets that fill the page. Hashtag God always avenges later on. Gives a chance or two. Sad no one will pray for the murderer. Hashtag OJ who hashtag died today. He lost a good life and afterlife. He failed both lives, unlike Garfield, which has 9, and he's not a hashtag murderer. Always trust hashtag cartoons better than humans. Or this one confirming in character as Garfield that he will still be voting for Trump. Or this tweet expressing glee at finding a 1-star review of the new Garfield movie. "Oh, just found another 1 star. When Sugar Daddy GarfieldEATS speaks, sugar babies listen. Never licensing that again. Hashtag not my Garfield." Then there are the copious anti-vax tweets, again including one criticizing the new Garfield movie. Quote, "Sometimes I wonder if the new Bright Garfield rat movie was made in hashtag Wuhan like a virus trying to win the hearts of the new gen and new licensees." It's also worth taking a look at all of the not so subtle tweets directed at Nickelodeon. One tweet claimed that the company turned child star and singer JoJo Siwa into a quote-unquote perverted sex maniac for cash, likely a reference to the disturbing revelations that came out about the company in the recent documentary Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV. And if you're wondering about the link there, JoJo Siwa had several specials and shows on Nickelodeon and guest starred in several shows as well. And while Nickelodeon should be criticized and indeed condemned for what happened to many of its child stars, using a video of the star dancing kinda embarrassingly as a way to prove that she's a perverted sex maniac is offensive and super insensitive. And this isn't the only hate post about JoJo Siwa on the account. Nickelodeon should be called out, this just isn't the right way to do it. A lot of behind the scenes information on the tenuous relationship between GarfieldEATS and Nickelodeon has also been revealed on the account, like the fact that Nathan Masry breached his licensing contract by making self-insert fan art merchandise of him and Garfield and sold it on Redbubble. GarfieldEATS had merchandising rights in its licensing agreement, and yet Paramount said it was a breach. They hated seeing Nathan associated with Garfield, 1, and 2, they said selling online on Redbubble was a breach all of a sudden. He also complained that Nickelodeon insisted on weekly Zoom calls to manage his business, which he believed was because he was an anomaly licensee. Air quotes, I don't really know what he meant by that. He claimed in a later tweet that these weekly Zoom calls stopped and he was left hanging for months when the Nickelodeon licensing team that managed GarfieldEATS were suddenly fired. He also claimed that Paramount and Nickelodeon were envious of how close he was with the character, and one licensing executive said as much to him on a call. In one tweet, which I honestly don't even think I can show because of how crass it is, but I'm gonna heavily censor it so you can get the vibe, he posted excitedly about the downfall of Paramount and Nickelodeon and how excited he was that the companies were failing. And as the grand finale, he made a tweet announcing that he was going to buy the rights to Garfield from Nickelodeon. March 21, 2024, Nathan Masry to grant 6 months deadline to Nickelodeon to clean their act up before he champions defines the future of Garfield, in an unprecedented move that underscores his enduring passion for the beloved comic strip character. Nathan Masry has announced his intention to acquire the Garfield intellectual property from Nickelodeon. This announcement comes amidst widespread concern over the revelation from the recent documentary Quiet on Set. Masry, a fervent advocate for the legacy of Garfield, aims to provide a safe home for Garfield, bringing the character back to its roots in Muncie, Indiana. Garfield is more than a comic strip. It's a global symbol of humor, resilience, and the simple joys of life, not crimes. And look, I'm not making this video to take sides or blame anyone. Frankly, I don't think Nickelodeon or Nathan Masry are in the right, and I'd be curious to know what you guys think. But I'm including stuff like this because, like, how bananas is it that the cancelled, shut down Garfield restaurant Twitter page is publicly at war with the license holder, not only calling them out but seemingly threatening to take the IP from them? It's not just me, right? This is a crazy situation and I feel like no one's talking about it. And Twitter isn't the only platform where things are going off the rails. After GarfieldEATS was shut down, the official Instagram account remained active, posting updates and recipes. Paramount reported the account and it was taken down, presumably because Masry didn't own the rights to the recipes anymore. In a post he wrote, "They are coming for our recipes which we clearly own. We are fighting it and will keep you posted to bring back the page." After the Instagram was deleted, Masry created a new account, or rather a new persona, Nathfield, his own brand new cat mascot. Nathfield is basically meant to be a more adult take on Garfield, commenting on political topics and issues in America rather than like Mondays. The Nathfield podcast, which only has 3 episodes so far, is less of a podcast and more of an animated series without the animation. The voice acting is over the top and cartoonish and features an evil pig character whose main goal is to spread lies on Reddit, an angel named Gabby, and of course Nathfield himself, a sarcastic and wisecracking orange cat. Despite the cartoony tone and silly voice acting, it's rated R, featuring swearing, sexual references, and a lot of not so subtle political commentary. One self-published review of the podcast reads, "For all its R-rated flights of fancy, #Nathfield somehow keeps a foot planted firmly in the real world and addresses that world's office politics, sexism, classism, jingoism, nostalgia, and desperate need to believe the ridiculous justice needed today." Some choice quotes that I found while scrubbing through the episodes include, "What a glorious morning, makes me hard. Oh my god, go away temptation, go away, not today. You sound like Andrew Tate now, and you sound like the scammy little green child Greta. In today's digital war on earth, no one can save us but Nathfield, the Prince of Nazareth, and only I, Angel Gabby, will guide him through this catastrophe. I got some fear to spread on Reddit. The one king of the world sees everything, even your dirty online escapades." It makes sense that the podcast feels like an animated show, as the official Nathfield Twitter account announced the launch of Intergage Pictures, their own production company, which will produce an animated comedy animation show called The Nathfield. As of now, it seems that no progress has been made on the show, and Intergage Pictures' request for an equity animation partner and executive producer has gone unanswered, probably because they made that request on Twitter. In fact, the podcast itself hasn't been updated in a significantly long time, with the last episode having come out over a year ago, likely to make more time for Masry's new project, EG's Technologies. If it wasn't already clear through his repeated attempts to license Saturday morning cartoon characters for restaurant chains, this man has quite the fondness for licensed products and services. EG's Technologies is a startup company which serves as an online marketplace for studios to sell a wide variety of licensed merchandise and buyers to get the best prices for them all in one app. The website, while looking pretty professional, is really odd, featuring quotes such as, "Shop and find your favorite licensed merch, always lowest prices for licensed stuff. Fuck it, I'm buying from EG's. It's not like there's anywhere else to buy from." Cover your ass, wear real Spider-Man undies, not fakes. Close your eyes, imagine having delicious Winnie the Pooh waffles for breakfast. Open your eyes. It's about frickin' time, a platform for verified licensees to sell. The promotional images all over the site also feature logos and products from Disney, Pixar, 20th Century Fox, and believe it or not, Paramount. The website design itself also features silhouettes of iconic licensed characters such as Harry Potter, Peter Pan, Alice and the White Rabbit, Winnie the Pooh, and Cruella de Vil. This is all pretty strange, as nowhere on the website does it say that EG's is partnered or officially working with any of the above companies, and I kind of struggle struggle to believe that Disney would give this startup company with no actual app or product to show the rights to these characters. There's no way to confirm or deny since the website is pretty bare bones and doesn't really seem to have any official information on people that are partnered with the website or brands that are working with them, but it's a bit mysterious to say the least. The most recent update in the GarfieldEATS / Nathan Masry saga was Sony Pictures offering Masry his first feature film documentary about licensing and pop culture, only to rescind their offer 4 months later. Masry sent a letter of appeal outlining the quote massive benefits and morals of the docuseries, though as far as I can tell their decision has been steadfast. Masry elaborated on the situation in an Instagram post, writing, "After zooming with Nathan and his manager via Zoom in October 2023 and back-to-back emails expressing great interest and love for not just Garfield Eats and Scooby-Doo Eats novelties but Nathan's hilarious character, just recently in early February, IPC has reached out to Nathan explaining that due to hire freeze and financial challenges in an uncertain economy, they have re-evaluated their decision. The deserved docuseries about the Orange Knight and master of licensing would be rich in drama, comedy, eccentricity, and profound entrepreneurial insights. Stands in stark contrast to superficial glamour and extravagance like a Kim. I respect their decision, same as Paramount's decision when they terminated my licensing agreement. From an established and licensed restaurant to a bizarre collection of dubiously legal licensing projects interspersed with vaccine conspiracies, accusations and insults towards companies and celebrities, and very strong feelings about Garfield's sex life, this is the downfall of Garfield Eats. Back in 2020, I don't think anyone could have predicted that this is how the Garfield Eats situation would end. Sure, it was a goofy concept and the owner was a little eccentric, but the kind of posts that we're seeing coming from these accounts are a far cry from the light-hearted and silly days of Garfield Eats. There's a darker, more bitter tone to everything, and the mask of professionalism has truly slipped. This brings me back to the question that I raised in the first Garfield Eats video that I made. Who even is Nathan Masry? Is he trolling on purpose, going on all of these escapades and bizarre business ventures to stir up controversy? Has he taken the Garfield Eats Twitter page off the rails to drum up attention for his own projects? Or is he genuinely just like this? During the Garfield Eats era, he had a semblance of professionalism, but now that he's left without a company, it seems that the mask has slipped and he's openly talking about all kinds of right-wing conspiracies, as well as going on aimless rambles about Garfield's celibacy, how licensing companies are evil, and how the internet is full of trolls who want to get him. It calls into question whether it's all just a silly act like everyone originally thought, or a genuine reaction to the perceived betrayal from the companies he once worked with. Also, I just want to mention he made a tweet calling out the whole Glasgow Willy Wonka thing for being unlicensed, and I just think that's really ironic. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. It's been really good to do a follow-up video on Garfield Eats. I really enjoyed making the first video, which was like a year or two ago. It was a while ago. I decided that I wanted to do this topic because I'm mutuals with Garfield Eats on Twitter, and I just kept seeing all this weird stuff popping up on my feed on Twitter, and I was like, what's going on? And it turns out that, I don't know, he's just using it basically as his own dumping ground for all of his innermost thoughts. Like I said, I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say. Do you think that he's just like this, or do you think this is like a PR thing? He claims that he's an entrepreneur. He's very experienced in like businesses and product launches and advertising, question mark. I mean, most of the advertising he does is pretty strange, but you know, he knows how to drum up controversy, so I'm wondering if he's leaning into this on purpose or whether he's just like this. Like I said, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you have any future videos you want me to cover. Sorry if I sound weird. Again, my microphone pop filter isn't on my mic. I lost it somehow. Literally have no idea where it went. I'm ordering a new one, but sorry if the mic sounds weird, and also I'm just recovering from being sick, so my voice also sounds weird. Sorry to do the whole YouTuber, sorry my voice sounds weird thing, but sorry my voice sounds weird. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye! A huge thank you to my Garfield overlords over on Patreon: Sheriff Whiskey, Xavier Arajo, Bunzo, Sophie H, Simon, Katrina Lakes 5e Stuff, Dr. Worm, Oliver Brains, Dozo Blint, Hazy, Zoe Mars, Matt LRJ, Michelle Olsen, Kia J Parker, A Riddle Wrapped in an Enigma Hidden by a Question Mark, Astrian Vortex, Jar the Bar, Vivian Valencia, Jet Secret, Helm Hamburger Hand, Dana Homegardner, Jesse Chisholm, Blue Mayfeld, Prize from Traveling Tavern, Meridia, and Doug. Thank you guys so much for supporting me on Patreon. If you want to join these guys over on Patreon, the link will be in the description. And yeah, thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye!